All right, gang, going live. It's Ryan Payne here, and I think I'm live with you, but I can never tell with the way Facebook keeps changing their whatever they're doing with their software, or whatever. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well, and hopefully the economy is starting to reaccelerate wherever you are. Been a crazy couple months. Hard to believe 2, 3 months ago where we were versus today. So depending where you are in the country, in the world, hopefully things are starting to improve. I'm here in New York City, and things are actually slightly getting better. I suspect it's going to be a little longer for us here, but we're definitely starting to see some green shoots or a little bit of improvement, so hopefully that keeps up. I'm going to get right into questions today. Again, I'm Ryan Payne. I'm one of the mentors for this group. I have a wealth management firm here in New York City, handling people's investments. I built my firm from the ground up, so anything you ever have a question on when it just comes to business building or the markets, investing, retirement planning, I am your go-to source. Don't be afraid. Ask me questions. And if it's a really good question, I'll be even happier. So I don't even know what that means. But okay, so let's get to questions today. And we're going to go for the first one from my man, Gras Gabor. I think I always get your name a little off, Gabor, but you asked me a lot of questions. And your question today is question on performance-based compensation. As a co-owner of our company, I never paid myself a salary. I relied on our end-of-year dividends for tax reasons, but now that a large chunk of our company is getting acquired, that's no longer practical. Well, congratulations on the sale of your company. I discussed this with our soon-to-be majority owner and agreed that in addition to my now smaller share of dividends, I should be getting a performance-based salary. There's going to be a base salary and a bonus paid every month based on two KPIs, that I've been asked to suggest. Do you have any suggestions on what I could consider when choosing these KPIs? I'm thinking one should be subscription revenue growth, the number one thing I personally measure my performance by, but I'm struggling to figure out the second one. Yeah, I definitely think the revenue growth one makes complete sense. You know, for my advisors at my firm, Payne Capital Management, we do pretty much all of our compensation on some sort of measurement of, you know, how the firm is doing. And I don't know if it's all subscription revenue, but my first question would be, are there other revenue sources that your firm has? Or maybe it's on whatever business is retained after a year. Maybe there's a back-end bonus, could be something you could look at as well. But I think something based on any sort of metric, obviously, that improves the bottom line for your owner is always the best, because then you see eye to eye. So the revenue one's a no-brainer, because obviously he's happy to pay you that percentage of revenue that you're creating. So I think that's not a problem, but I'm just wondering, are there other ways that you guys get paid? So I would look at that first. And if you want to talk about that offline, I'm happy to do that. But I think tying it into something that he benefits or she benefits from too is huge. So that way you're always aligned. So if you're doing something that helps his bottom line, then great. Let's add that into whatever your bonus is going to look like. So if you give me maybe a rundown, Gabor, of just like some of the other metrics that you grow your business by. I mean, ours is pretty simple. It's straightforward. It is actually just new assets that come in mean more revenue growth. But we also have a contest with our advisors, and I don't know if this helps at all, for whoever brings the most assets in for that year, gets some sort of, in this case, there's some sort of benefit at the end of the year that they receive. So maybe it's if you hit certain hurdles on that revenue that you're growing out. If it's at one level X, you get this payout, but if it's at this level, the payout goes up. So maybe it's like incentivizing at a higher level depending on how much subscription revenue growth that you create for the business. So another thing you can think about, but I'm happy to talk to you about that offline, but definitely has to be tied into something that the new owner benefits from as well. It's just like you always want to line things up where everybody's interests are aligned, because if not, that's when the problems start to happen, especially if they have cash flow problems in the business. All of a sudden, that can definitely make the relationship, fall apart a little bit. So that's my thoughts on that one. Next question comes in from Lalana. Hello. When stepping into a leadership role, what are good strategies to build trust and relationships with your team, especially if you're moving up to an administrator role with the same people you've worked with for years? For example, I have been in a teacher coach role. Now I'll be their principal, their boss. I want the transition to be effective for both me and my team. Thank you so much. Well, congratulations. It sounds like a lot of you have moved up within your company, which is awesome. I think it's amazing to take on a more of a leadership role. And I kind of like the fact that your relationship already is more of a teacher-coach role, because I kind of think the way that businesses are today, the paradigm has kind of shifted. They used to be more hierarchical, where you had the boss and everybody down the line kind of looked up to the chain of command, and a lot of old school corporations still look that way. But I know in my business where we have a lot of millennials, and I think a lot of businesses now are more linear. It's more like, yeah, you're the boss, but you don't treat people like I'm up here, they're down here. So I think it's more the frame of being collaborative as opposed to I'm telling you what to do. Even if at the end of the day you are the boss and on some level you are telling people what to do, I think having that more collaborative approach with people, and I think always taking on the role of more of a coach, teacher, and if you're already in that role for people, you're already emphasizing the fact that you are somebody who guides them. So I think that leadership transition for you sounds to me like it shouldn't be that big a leap. But I think, already the fact that you're already being that teacher coach is going to be a huge one up for you. But I also think that even when you are the boss, I think more along the lines of how is it collaborative and asking people's opinions about things as opposed to telling people what to do. And even when you listen to people's opinions, you're going to go another way, but just letting people espouse their views on things, I think, is really, really a big deal. And it's something I definitely practice and struggle with too. It's not like something I've ever perfected, but I really do believe, especially with this younger generation, and I don't know how old your coworkers are, but especially with millennials, that more collaborative framework, I think, works a lot better. And it takes a lot of stress off of you too, where you have to be some sort of, I don't know, some tough boss who's, telling people they have to do this, this, and this. So I think you're in a great position, but I think that collaborative approach is definitely something to think about as you're going into that role. And again, hit me up offline if you want to talk about that further, but it sounds like you're moving in the right direction. So good question, and thank you for writing in. Next question comes in from Alexander Haig. He writes in, hey mentors, Ryan Payne, I might want to learn about investments and figure out if it's something for me. I have zero experience in that area, so you have any ideas where to start, any books worth reading, advice, or any other materials? Thank you in advance. Well, first off, Alexander, I think yes. I think having investments is a really, really important thing. I don't care who you are. And the main reason, I've talked about this in past videos, is your money needs to keep up with the cost of living. If you're sitting in a savings account, earning whatever it is today, I think like the highest money market fund in the country now is like at 1%, and you still got to pay taxes on it. So it's even less than that. But the cost of living is going up by more like 2% a year. Even though your money is not fluctuating, it feels safe, you're losing money against purchasing power, and that's a problem we all have universally. So here's a scary statistic. Every 20 years, your money basically gets cut in half. So if you had $1 million today, it's only worth $500,000 20 years from now, 20 years plus from now. So that's a big deal. So I think getting into investing is huge. It's important. Everyone needs to figure out how they're going to grow their money over inflation over time so that they're not having to work forever because their money keeps diminishing in purchasing power. It's a necessary evil, I call it. And one book that I really like, it might be a good place to start, is Stocks for the Long Run by Jeremy Siegel. He's an economist from the Wharton School of Penn. And he just talks about by buying stocks, market investments for the long term, how you invariably have created so much wealth over the last hundreds of years, and essentially how that continues out into the future. So I think that's a book you might want to check out that I think is really good, and it just gives you a really good understanding of why you need to be invested and why the market, which seems like a very intimidating place to be, is a very necessary place to be. And inevitably, if you hold investments long term, it's really hard to bet against your money growing at a much faster clip than inflation or that cost of living. So I hope that's not too wonky for you, but I think that's a really good place to start. And again, you can hit me off offline if you have any more questions on that, but you should definitely be thinking about growing your money over time. It's a big deal. Okay, next question coming in, hope that's helpful, is Allison Koyanagi. Oh man, I'm going to butcher this. Koyanaji. I think I said it right, Allison. I hope I did. But Allison writes in, I have two pending possible clients. One that could possibly be the largest deal my agency has ever made. Sweet. It's about 2 weeks for one that is still going through some things with the business and says they will sign the agreement once it all settles. And the other, I've been working for a week now, even closed a bulk order for him on his products, even though we weren't officially working together yet. I know they both are eventually going to partner with my agency, but my question is, how do I create a sense of urgency without sounding pushy? I don't want them to say no to my services just because I asked them again what they thought of the proposal, if they had any questions. Thank you for your time and expertise. Okay, this is a really good question, Allison, because I think we all struggle with this. It's kind of the art of the deal, right? It's like, I almost look at it when you're trying to get new business, it's kind of like dating, right? You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too needy, when you're in the courting phase, but you also want to let the other person know that you like them, right? So I think when it comes to getting new business and asking for new business, there's that fine line. And I like to call it being politely persistent. Because first off, look, that first one might be the biggest deal you ever close. If that's a very busy person or company, I don't know the circumstances. A lot of times when you're that busy, you might be on their list, but if they're not ready to get to it now, they're not ready to get to it. Like I know even for me, when I get pitched on things, sometimes if someone's offering a discount to move it in quicker, or they're just getting a little too aggressive on it, I'm going to deem that person less valuable, and I'm probably going to maybe pass on that deal. So I guess the first thing I'm saying here is don't try to go in there with some kind of discount, because that's going to make you sound like your service is cheap, and you don't want to do that. So I think the fine balance of polite persistence is maybe first you follow up a week later with a nice email like, hey, just want to check in, make sure you had any questions on the proposal. They know what you're doing, but they're cool with the fact that it's like, okay, you're checking in. They know you want to be on their radar screen, and that's not a big deal. And now that you said it's been about, I don't know if it's 2 weeks on the other one, then maybe the next email, if you don't hear anything back, is wait 2 weeks and just say, hey, just checking in. Wanted to follow up, see if you have any questions on the proposal, if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. And just quick, Allison, something like that, very simple. And also, I'd also look at further mode of communication, because I find some of my clients, prospects, they all want to be, they want to be contacted different ways. Like me, if you want to get contact with me, my email is it. I'm just like a slave to my email. I make sure that I answer all my emails. I get them out with no questions asked. If you text me, I might forget about the text, and it just goes off the radar screen. But some other people, it's like text is the only way they respond. Like if you're not text messaging them, you're not going to hear from them, period. So if you have all their information, you might even want to try switching it up. So maybe the first time it's an email, you don't hear from them. Maybe the next time you text them, like, hey, just Allison, just checking in, see if you have any questions on the proposal, see if you wanted to catch up. And I wouldn't even go there until it's been maybe 3 weeks and say, hey, maybe we'll catch up or something like that. And I don't know if I'm getting way into the weeds here, but point is, look at different ways to communicate with that person. Keep spacing out when you follow up. Polite persistence, not overly aggressive. You want to be in that sweet spot. Let them know you're there, but not in a way where it's like, okay. Because, you don't want them to think that, you need that deal so badly. Then they're going to feel uncomfortable giving you the business. But they know, hey, you're growing your business. Obviously, you want the business, and you're being politely persistent about it. Then that's a good place to be, because it says, hey, I'm a hustler. I work hard, but I want your business, but I don't need your business. So that's kind of the excuse me, I'll say that one more time. That's the mindset that you want. Okay, so think about it that way. The other thing is, also maybe even try a phone call too once in a while. I think most people don't pick up their phone nowadays, but once in a while, a random phone call from your cell phone to theirs can't hurt either. Just catch them off guard. But I think text, email, find out their mode of communication, and then just keep spacing out those follow-ups. But very exciting. Love that feeling when you have those deals on the line and you just if you get those in, it's the best feeling in the world. So good luck to you. And just, I don't know, DM me if you have any other questions on that, but I think it sounds like you got some hot prospects there. Okay, next question comes in from Robin Turbin. Robin, always ask me good questions. She writes in, at this point, my expenses are very low. No kids, no car, no mortgage, no pets, no ties, etc. Once I finish paying off my credit cards, would you recommend investing for investing funds for my future business or saving for an emergency fund? Thank you. I have a tiny amount of money in Fidelity account that sits there. My brother, who knows a lot about these things, has offered to help me grow it at no charge. Would you please voice your opinion on whether or not this is a good idea? Thank you. Well, first off, always have your emergency fund first. And my rule of thumb, and this is going to be different from person to person, though, is you should have at least 6 months of expenses. Always. You just never know what's going to happen. Maybe we'll have a pandemic or something, and the economy will shut down around the globe for like 3 months. I don't know. Call me crazy. It could happen. So point is, always have that emergency fund. I wouldn't think about anything else until you make sure you have your emergency fund. You should always have it. Then after that, yeah, like get the funds invested for future growth. And that future growth could be, in the stock market, business growth, whatever it happens to be. But I think the key is, and as a wealth management firm for my clients, the rule of thumb is any money that's in risk assets, like real estate, stocks, commodities, anything that's more volatile, you've got to have a 5-year plus time horizon for. You got to be willing to say, I'm going to put this money away, and I don't need it for 5 years, because if you need it in a shorter period of time, you're at the whim of the markets, and who knows in the short term. I don't have a crystal ball. Most of those experts on Wall Street, they pretend like they know, but they don't really know. So you got to give yourself a long-term time horizon for any longer-term investments that you want to grow your wealth out for financial independence. But make sure you have that emergency fund first. I can't stress that enough. That's really, really smart to have. Okay, that's the questions. I'm going to go through the sidebar here. See if there's anything else that needs to be mentioned. Okay, not sure my question goes, but I've noticed that many AO members don't have their workplace public in their Facebook profile. Can that be good for SEO being found right? This is from Adam. I am not the person to answer that, if we had to be honest about it. I don't do SEO that well, and I'm not an expert in it, but I think someone in our group definitely is. So I would just reach out to Sean and that, Adam, because I'm not 100% sure the best way to optimize your SEO, especially with Facebook. But I think bottom line is there's definitely somebody here that can help you with that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much covering it for today. I try to do one of these monthly for you guys. So any other questions, can always ping me offline or list it for next month. But again, I hope everybody's doing well. I feel like things are getting a lot better. I know here in New York City, it's like the weather's getting incrementally better, and every day I walk outside, there's more people outside, and you're starting to see the economy remobilize. Our perspective is, we're very, very optimistic on the economy. Just to give you 2 cents on that, where, obviously a lot of people in the media have not been very, very optimistic, and they've been dead wrong. So I think, the outlook here from my perspective is things are getting a lot better. So that's a really, really good sign. And I do see, things probably mobilizing a lot quicker than people think. So everyone be well. Hope you're on your path and things are going well. And I look forward to doing this again next month. Again, feel free to put those questions up for next month or shoot me a DM. I'm happy to answer your questions. And, hey, let's enjoy the start of summer. Thank you.